Back working on the Mule. I just drained the oil on it. The oil plug's right down there. I'm about to put it back. Well, I'll let it drip, I guess. See where it's dripping. It's right on the underside. That might be another one right there. I don't know. You can get to it from the side or the bottom. With the cover on, you can't get to this. That looks like an old plug. So I took some sandpaper and kind of cleaned up real good the crankshaft right up next to the seal. You can see it's nice and shiny now. I just went along with the sandpaper and cleaned that up because I did not buy a new crank seal for this. This one is not leaking, so I did not buy a new one. So we're going to reuse this one. So just to make sure it stays in good shape, I cleaned that up real good to make sure that when we pull this off, rust doesn't tear that seal. So we got it cleaned up real good, and I sprayed it off with brake clean, and then put some engine oil from my pan here all around it. So then we pull that off, it's good and lubricated, and it won't tear the seal. All over here is fine because it's smaller. You know, it's a smaller diameter. We might lube that up just to be safe and make sure the seal doesn't, you know, it's got a spring in it, make sure it doesn't collapse enough to scrape against this. But this really isn't rusty or anything, but we can put some stuff on it. So I'm going to set up the time lapse. We've got to pull these bolts out. We got to also pull the bottom motor mount bolts off, and then we'll probably need to, I guess we can trying to think, we might loosen the other two motor mount bolts as well. This thing looks like it's had a starter put on it too, but we're gonna have to take this battery cable off, get this one out of the way, probably cut this tie wrap right here, and kind of give ourselves some room here because we're going to be pulling this cover straight off. So I'll set up time lapse and we'll get busy on this. I've decided not to do time lapse. We'll man, I'll have to remember not to do videos in here anymore. It's like they know as soon as they're pretty quiet when I don't have a video going. Tie wrap, get this out of the way. I think we got enough slack in that. We can just pull these out of the way. So now we need to get the motor mount bolts undone. They're here on the bottom. And like I said, I'll probably just loosen the other side. They don't have to come off, but I think it'll make it easier because I can tilt the engine a little bit. After we get these off, oh, and I did kind of, this engine was pretty clean. I didn't have to do a lot of cleaning, but I did take a screwdriver and kind of scrape around all the edges and then blew it off with, or sprayed it off with brake clean, just to kind of limit the amount of stuff that could fall into the engine. I'm sure we'll probably end up spraying the engine out on the inside with brake clean before we put it back together, just to make sure we didn't get any grit or anything in it. So let's see. Let me see before I do the other side. Yeah, it's still bolted pretty tight. So I think I'm gonna see if I can get my wrench over here to the opposite side, or maybe I'll just go over to the other side. And I'm just gonna crack them loose, just to kind of allow the engine to rock on its mount. Should be loose enough. Go to this side. Still pretty tight. I wonder if it's got, does it have 6 bolts? I don't think so. It may just be kind of stuck. Have any other bolts over here? None over there, none over there. Let's see. It's lifting up. Just kind of tight. And it might have, looks like it does have a bracket that bolts over from the transmission. That should be enough though where we can get the cover off. Just need a little room to slide it. So we're going to switch over back. We need a 10. Those look like 10s or 12s. It might still be 12s. Other 12s. So let's start here at the bottom. Get these out. I'm doing these by hand. I want to make sure I don't break anything off in the aluminum. I guess after I got them broke loose, I could zip them off, but we're just gonna use hand tools for this. I think we'll go along and just break them loose. And then we'll take them all the way out. Oh, busted my knuckle. Well, that's good news. They all broke loose. Let's see, do we have any? I think that's all of them. The ones up top are the water pump bolts. So we got those out already. Like I said, I think that's a drain plug right there. So we don't need to worry about that bolt. So there's one, and these ones that are a little more rusty are the bottom ones. That will help us remember. You just need to keep track of these in case they're different. I'll compare, after I pull each one out, I'm going to look at the size, the length of it, and of course the diameter of it, and see if they are the same size bolts, and if there's any that are different, I need to make a note of where they go. So this one we will compare with the one we just pulled out. Let's see. Let's take a look. Now, these two are the same, so those could be interchanged. Still seeing okay? Yeah. You're a little crooked, but that's the only way I could get y'all where we could both, where y'all could see and I can work. So we will compare this one. This one looks shorter. Alright, so that one's shorter. So the two bottom ones are the same length. That side one is shorter. I guess we will see if all the side ones are shorter. So this one, if you get them mixed up, the other thing you can do is a lot of times you can kind of put them in the hole and see how much each one sticks out. You can kind of tell. So those two are the same length. So far it's just the two bottom ones. The two bottom ones are a different length, which will be easy to keep track of. That would make sense if they would thread those in further. And that one is the same. Same as all the other side ones. This one down here is on a different level, so I'm gonna bet it's gonna be a different length. Not this one. That one's the same length. But this one is recessed in more, so I'm almost gonna bet it's gonna be shorter. It's possible it threads deeper into the block, but we'll see. It's the same. That one just threads deeper into the block. Alright, so I'm wondering, the side cover gasket on this thing looks, I don't know, it looks like maybe it's been reused or something. I'm wondering if somebody has been in here before. And that was the same. These things, I don't know, some of these had plastic cam gears and they were bad about the teeth coming off the cam gear. And I don't know if this one does or not. I kind of think it does. I guess we'll know more when we get inside. I don't know if that's the cam, I guess that's the cam gear right there, but I can't really tell if it's plastic or not. So let's take the dipstick tube off. Set this somewhere clean. And let's double check. Alright, so coming along here, we've got no bolts, no bolts. Just making sure we've got everything out before we start trying to pry the cover off. Alright, that appears to be off. We've got a good solid spot right here where the dipstick tube is up against the starter. It looks like a good place. You don't want to get anywhere where it's really thin. You don't want to break it off. And there we go. And the cover is coming off. So I'm going to look for any signs. First of all, if you look, it definitely broke out right in here. You can see where that was. That's where we were leaking right there. So definitely had an issue there. I can't tell if this thing has ever been off or not. I don't see any signs of silicone or anything, so maybe it hasn't. We're gonna have to definitely do some cleaning on this thing. I'm just gonna set it here. Oil pump looks good. The cam gear looks in good shape. I'm gonna bet that that's plastic. I don't see a part number on it. Let me get y'all, clean my hands up. Got oil on them. Engine looks really good inside. Unfortunately, I would have rather the gasket come off with the cover, and unfortunately it did not. So we're gonna definitely have some scraping to do on the block. I would have rather done the scraping on the cover. It might come off pretty easily. So far it's coming off not too bad. That cam gear, I mean, let's take a look. It's possible it's had a replacement done. That looks plastic to me. If we can get a part number off the, I don't see a part number on the crankshaft gear. If we could get a part number off of that, that would tell us, or a part number off the camshaft itself. I don't see one on the camshaft, and I don't see one on the crankshaft gear. But to me that looks plastic. Where is there timing marks on it? Is that the timing mark, that little nub? And we might just double check the timing on it. The gear looks to be in good shape. I'm not gonna mess with it. If I end up having to, then I will later on. But it's in good shape now, and it's about $200. They make a metal gear, but you got to replace several other things. You have to replace the crankshaft gear. Well, I guess it's a whole metal camshaft, and I think you'd go ahead and put new tappets in it as well, lifters, since you're putting a new camshaft in it. So all that together is like about $200 worth of stuff, and so this gasket set was $14, so we're just going to do the gasket and not worry about the camshaft gear until we have an issue with it, because right now it is fine. It is not that difficult to get in here if we ever had to do it again. But yeah, the inside of this engine looks really good. I mean, there's definitely not a sludge buildup. You can see it definitely does have some, black or blacker from, just sediment in the oil. So I'm going to take some time and clean this gasket material up and be real careful not to knock crap into the block. And this is probably an oil passage right here. No, it may not be. Maybe a dowel. I don't know. There's oil passage right there. I was thinking it because the oil pump is in the timing gear, in the front cover. The oil pump's in the front cover, and so there's definitely oil passages that go through here. That's definitely one right there. So just be real careful when you clean this up, not to knock any grit or anything into any of these passages. Those may be dowels, I don't know, but that's definitely an oil passage there. So be real careful and get it cleaned up, and we will I'll pick back up after I do the cleaning.